Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Copper Jacket TV. So as I'm sure most of you know, over the past several decades, California has just continued to get worse and worse and worse when it comes to gun control. As a matter of fact, there are now over 100 laws on the books as it stands today, which makes it the worst state in the entire country for your Second Amendment rights, even though in my own personal opinion, I think there's other states out there that might not have those same numbers, but are still just as bad. And comparing the two states is really just apples to apples. There's other states that are trying to catch up to that as well. So there's a lot of states around the country that are getting pretty bad right now. Well, it's gotten so bad, though, in California that Congress has even taken notice now. You might remember a video I did about a month ago where Congress has introduced a bill, or a bill has been introduced in Congress to try and tackle California's new 11% tax on firearms and ammunition that took effect on July 1st. Well, now we have a new bill that was just introduced to stop something else, and in my opinion, this one is even bigger. So we're going to talk about a new bill introduced in Congress by California Congressman Darrell Issa, and is joined by another congresswoman from New York that could put an end to something massive. So let's talk about it. I want to let you know that this channel is sponsored by the absolute best, which is Attorneys on Retainer. If you guys carry to defend yourself, if you're thinking about carrying, if you just have something in your house for your own home defense, you need a membership with Attorneys on Retainer. These guys are not an insurance company. They're not like those big insurance companies where somebody has a hand on your policy. They're actual attorneys. When you give them a call, you speak to an actual attorney. So you dial that number on the back of the card, an attorney picks up, you have instant attorney-client privilege, and you get representation, the representation that you need that most of us can't afford. So it's basically having an attorney right in your back pocket like that, and they will stick with you all the way through the end, even if it's something that's questionable or you're in a gun-free zone or something like that. Attorneys on Retainer will be there, and I am absolutely proud to have them as the channel sponsor. So again, I just wanted to let you know about that. Now let's get to it. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about what's going on here. So California Congressman Darrell Issa, along with New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, have introduced a bill that will overturn what is, in my opinion, one of the worst and one of the most unconstitutional laws that you're going to find in any state across this country. Now, California is not the only one with one of these laws. I believe they are the one who pioneered it, but it has since spread to other states, and you're seeing it more and more, and they are trying to put a stop to it now on a federal level so that not only would it overturn any of them that exist in the entire country as it is, but it wouldn't allow any other state to do the same thing or start the same thing, and that is a roster. So they have introduced a bill to overturn handgun rosters. So if you don't know what that is, basically in the state of California at least, it is a roster of approved handguns for sale in the state that's curated by the state themselves. And there are certain requirements that need to be met in order to get on that roster. Sometimes it's loaded chamber indicators, magazine disconnects, even micro stamping, which really isn't even a thing yet, so it makes it nearly impossible for anything to get on the roster. And because of those requirements, manufacturers aren't able to get on them after paying, exorbitant fees and going through all the testing that's required as well. But they're not able to get on them, and so these states are left with relics, really, things that could be 30 plus years old, and that's all that's allowed on the roster because it existed at the time that the roster was created. And again, we're seeing these pop up more and more. So let me just read you a little bit of something here from Darrell Issa's website about what they're trying to accomplish here. Okay, so it says here, August 20, 2024, press release, Washington. Today, Congressman Darrell Issa, California District 48, and House Republican Conference Chairwoman Elise Stefanik, New York's 21, introduced the Modern Firearms Safety Act, which will stop states from enacting unconstitutional handgun rosters that prevent law-abiding citizens from accessing modern, safer handgun models. Handgun rosters are a tactic that serves only a single purpose: to undermine the Second Amendment under the cynical pretense of firearm safety. These rosters impose excessive and unnecessary requirements that only restrict access to modern firearms equipped with the most up-to-date safety features, said Representative Issa. California, New York, Maryland, Massachusetts, and DC have already enacted restrictive handgun rosters, with others considering similar measures. These rosters currently mandate the firearms include costly and unnecessary features, including loaded chamber indicators, magazine disconnect mechanisms, and micro-stamping technology. This makes it nearly impossible for manufacturers to introduce new models. The Modern Firearms Safety Act prohibits states from enforcing these restrictive requirements, ensuring that citizens have access to the most up-to-date and safe firearms available. Additionally, the legislation aligns with a recent 2024 federal court ruling that found California's handgun roster requirements to be unconstitutional. Now, it's not just those two going it alone. Thankfully, they already have some co-sponsors, and I'm sure this is going to grow. But they have Chuck Edwards from North Carolina, Clay Higgins from Louisiana, Claudia Tenney from New York, Lance Gooden from Texas, Mike Collins from Georgia, Ashley Hinson from Iowa, Andy Harris from Maryland, and Andy Biggs from Arizona. So again, the list is, I'm sure, going to continue to grow. Now, make no mistake, this is not about safety like the proponents of these rosters claim. It's all about curbing your enthusiasm, right? When the rest of the country sees something new that just came out, they want to go get it and they get excited for it. In California, one of the biggest comments that I see is, I wish I could have that, but I can't because I live in California. You know, everybody's like, I can't, I want that, but I can't, I'm in California. And so that enthusiasm basically gets wiped away because you're stuck with these old models. And think about it. I mean, if you're talking about safety, technology has come so far over the past 2 or 3 decades that it's not like it used to be. The things that are coming out today are arguably safer than what is going to be on the roster right now. But if it doesn't include those specific features, then forget about it. The state doesn't really care about that. It's all about the control for the state. They have full control over what you're allowed to have. And then if you pick something from their roster, you still have to jump through hoops for it. You know, you got to go and you got to pay extra fees, you got to pay extra taxes. You have to wait 10 days, so there's waiting periods, limits on how many of them you're allowed to have, storage law requirements, registration. I mean, you name it, the list goes on and on once you've actually picked from what they allow you to have. So seeing something like this happen on a federal level would be fantastic. Now, as it stands right now with the makeup of the different branches, you know that we would probably not see anything like this moving forward. However, these things take some time, and it's not much time for things to possibly change. If the makeup of Congress, if the makeup of the executive branch were to change, then yes, we could see something like this absolutely go through. If you ask me, this is common sense. This is a no-brainer. And again, if you can get the numbers, this would absolutely go through. And it would be fantastic because not only would it overturn any existing ones that are already out there, but it would put a stop to anybody thinking that they could implement anything new like that. So again, I wanted to share that with you guys because again, Congress is taking notice of what these states are doing. These states are going way too far. Even the smallest infringement is still an infringement. You could say it's as small as you want. Well, it's just this tiny little cut or whatever. It's still an infringement no matter how small it is. And so we need to try and recognize that and make sure that we support the people that are supporting us. So, if you feel like it, you can always go to ICE's website and, send them a letter saying that you support this bill, this initiative, and see if we can maybe get more people on board. Or maybe if you're somebody who's outside who lives in a state that might have one of these in the future, maybe let your congressperson know, hey, jump behind this. I want to see your support for this because we think it's a big deal. That's the only way to affect change. If they believe that they'll get support for it, they'll do something about it. If they don't, they're just going to sit back and jump on something else. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you. I want to thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please like, subscribe. You guys have a great day.